Welcome to What's the Word? I'm your host, Jamie McFadden, and I'm so excited to have you here. This podcast is about all things wellness. Each week, we will focus on a word of the day, and I interview some of the most inspirational people I know and share that inspiration with you. Join me, let's learn together on What's the Word.
This is the place where I belong.
Hi, and welcome back to What's the Word? I'm your host, Jamie McFadden, and today we are here with someone who I just had the honor and major privilege of actually working with. She is certainly one of the most inspirational and motivational humans I have ever met. She's a 30-time grand world jump rope champion who started jumping rope at the age of 5. She travels the world teaching and performing at events like Cirque du Soleil. Not to mention, she also has her own brand, TeleJump, which we will learn more about today. My daughter Sophia, who some of you know, has just been gushing over her and saying that she just wants to be like Tori someday. So welcome to the show. This is Tori Boggs. Thank you so much for being here today. And you chose the word joy, which by definition means feeling of great pleasure and happiness. So Tori, without further ado, can you tell us why you chose that word? Thank you for being here.
Jamie, thank you for having me. Oh, giving me good feelings. Joy. Let me think here. I think when it comes to joy, that's just how I do try to live each and every day, and that's not an easy task, right? We all have our ups and downs, but definitely prioritizing happiness and doing what I love to do, so that each day it doesn't feel like work, right? So that's ultimately the goal, and I think that's why joy is at the forefront for me.
Wow. Wow. And yes, and you are literally someone, I mean, when you walked on set, full transparency, I had no idea what I was even getting myself into. And immediately you just radiated so much joy. You're just a ray of sunshine. You just radiate inspiration, quite frankly. And I would love to know from you a point in your career, because for anyone watching that doesn't know you, I know they're all going to be Googling you and looking at your Instagram, which they're going to be like mind blown. But I'd love to hear from you if there was ever a time where you faced a challenge in your life or in your career, and maybe you had a tougher time finding or seeing that joy, and how did you overcome that obstacle?
I think that actually happens all the time. Like whether it's a serious injury that takes me out of jumping, or I mean, there have been times where I was training for the world tournament, had a really bad injury, and couldn't compete. And then you have to wait another 2 years. Like this kind of stuff happens all the time. But I think it's about how you kind of perceive things that happen to you, and not taking them as negative, but trying to turn that into a positive, whatever that thing might be. So yes, it does happen all the time. I guess for a particular instance, I had an injury when I was in high school that took me out of jumping for a really quite a long time. We weren't sure if I was going to be able to get back to it. It was a really depressing time of my life. But what I started to do was kind of prioritize what I wanted to do, right? Which, of course, is always find ways to stay involved with jump rope. And the thing about jump rope is that it's so diverse, right? You can jump over rope, and that's the activity, but you can also be involved from different standpoints as far as teaching and sharing the sport that way. That's not actually such a physical toll on your body, or help with jump rope leadership, or starting a team, or starting a program. There's so many organizational points to the sport. So I think at that point I was looking at, I've been a competitor all my life. How else can I have an impact on this sport? And that's when I really kind of got into teaching and thinking about other ways to continue doing what I love to do. That somehow propelled me into this future. I mean, there's so many other things that happened, but a future that I never could have imagined, opportunities that I just didn't even know were possible because of this inexpensive little rope of plastic, basically. So you just never know where life will take you, as long as you're just following your heart and what you love to do.
Oh, wow. And that's going to segue so beautifully into this next question, because here we are, you and I were talking about it the other day, where we're holding the jump ropes in our hand. And I said, you know, you make the jump rope look like it's just a part of your body. Like when watching you, it is literally, you're so fluid with every movement. And it's beautiful to watch and see. And at the same time, just like you said, it's a jump rope. It's even something I tell my clients, go get one before your trip and just use it, you know, because you're going to get really great cardiovascular, you know, it's going to be a wonderful way to get some exercise in while you're on the road. Now, with you, thinking about you at 5, right? I'm looking at my 5-year-old daughter, thinking about her. It's like you had this vision. Like, how did this was it
Mhm.
just you just loved it and you're like, "I just want this as part of my body." Like, "This is me."
That was it. I just saw it and I fell in love. It was literally just love at first sight. And I was really bad starting out. It took me a really long time to be able to do one jump. I was very uncoordinated. So definitely don't let that discourage you. It was just I was enjoying the journey.
She
Oh,
wants to listen. She's so inspired, she couldn't handle
yeah,
it.
I can say that again. So when I saw it when I was 5, I just really loved jump rope and I was really bad. It took me a super long time to be able to do one jump, right? And that can happen.
Wow.
Like there will be those things that just trip you up more than others. But as long as you're doing what you love and my mom saw how much I loved it, so she started coming to practice and learning how to kind of coach and judge the sport.
Right.
And then we grew we grew together in jump rope. And then my mom and I have actually traveled the world on some like crazy trips because of that. So it's been pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let me ask you this because obviously, you met both of us on set together. She's come everywhere with me, and this is me fulfilling my dreams, right? Like as a mom, but still doing the things that I love in
Yeah.
hopes to inspire my daughter to fulfill whatever it is that she wants to do in any way, shape, or form. And so I love hearing you say that, your mom has come all these places with you and been so supportive of you fulfilling this. You're creating an entire legacy, a major legacy. You're laying the foundation for so many of the younger generation, but also the older generation in any age of basically that finding joy in whatever you're doing is really the key ticket, listening to your heart. And would you say, has your mom always been just super supportive of you doing this?
Yeah, for sure. My whole family is. I have a great mom, dad, older brother. But I think my mom particularly was quite good at saying, "I will put in whatever you need. I will do my absolute best to help you as long as I see that reciprocated from you." So
Right,
she was really like, "You need to be the one that says I want to be in the gym. I want to be training for this, or I need
right.
help here." And just show me that effort. And she's like, and I will just do the absolute best that I possibly can to help you. And of course, she's supportive even in the moments where I was down or anything like this. But I think that was really great because it felt like it always feels like my mom and I are working together. So it's not
Yeah,
just, her giving
right.
so much or just me giving so much. It's us kind of we literally grew in jump rope together and that's been our relationship
Wow.
and I wouldn't have it any other way.
I love Okay, now I have to ask, does your mom jump with you?
She can do more skills than she lets on. She's quite good though at teaching and working with kids. So she coaches a jump rope
Wow.
team and yeah, she's really, really good at working with them. So
Oh, this is so incredible. Okay, so this podcast is really just, me interviewing the most inspirational people and sharing that based on the word of the day. You chose joy. What's kind of a couple tips that you would share with someone listening? And I'll be totally honest, based on just the past 2 years of what's been going on in the world, there's a lot of listeners that write into me and say, wow, I really needed that talk because I was just feeling low or I'm going through a rough patch or a tough time in my life. When it comes to that spark, that joy, do you have any tips you can share with someone on, how they can find it today?
yeah, well, I'm not saying everyone has seen jump rope when they were 5 years old and fell in love or whatever that is.
Right.
I know that that's not always the story for people, and that can be hard to continue finding it. But I will say, don't give up on that because part of the journey in itself should be joyful. Whether or not you
Mhm.
found the absolute love of your life or not, like enjoy the journey along the way. But I think something that I have really tried hard to do, it's not always easy, especially considering all of the circumstances, is to let go of what I can't change.
Yes.
And that's a constant thing, right? We have so many factors that make us think, oh, we're not good enough, or preventing us from getting here, or XYZ, or things that we just can't control. And that can really either bring us down or we can use it to lift us up. And though it's hard to do, it's a constant struggle. I think it's actually really helped me find joy a lot
Yes.
each and every day, is just letting go of things I cannot change and doing the best that I can for things that I can.
And you radiate that. I mean, just meeting you and working with you for those 2 quick days, that was why I was like compelled. I said I have to get you on What's the Word because We need to continuously hear this message over and over. Oftentimes, our brains are conditioned to one thing, and oftentimes we might be feeling like I'm not good enough, or I can't do this, or all that negative talk. Which I love right now that you're keeping it real, and you're saying, you, Tori Boggs, 30-time world champion, is saying, yeah, I struggle sometimes too, or like I have tough days or tough times, and yet you still ride the wave, find the journey to be beautiful as it is, let go of the things you can't control. Like what you're saying right now, we need to hear this over and over and over again because it's true. And I would love to ask you now, because my brand is all about self-care and it's all about the different areas of self-care. You brought up one of my favorite words. Oftentimes people think self-care is either selfish or it's something you do all by yourself, solo. And you just said, I have such a supportive family. And
Yeah.
in the book I'm writing right now, it's all about actually that self-care is about support. It's about a collaborative. It's about, your team, your people coming together to support one another. What would you say are kind of your go-to self-care, the things that you do for your own self-care?
Sure. I think trying to find a daily routine as much as possible is very
Yeah.
helpful. And I travel a lot, and that
Yeah.
is very hard. Like it's very hard to stay healthy just
Yeah.
with different time zones and changing of where I am. And sometimes I get confused where I am too. Like at night, in the middle of the night, if you wake up and I'm like, oh man, where am I? That can happen. So I do try to stick to a few things that I definitely do every day. So when I wake up, I always have a glass of water, a full, like as soon as I wake up, I have a full glass of water. I do a stretching routine, like first thing getting out of bed, because these are the things that I can control that can be consistent in my daily life. So I feel like I'm ready for the day, whatever it's about to bring.
Right.
So I think those things have actually really helped me just since I've added those in. And also kind of a peace of mind on that. Also, it gives you time in the morning to wake up, kind of take in the day, think about how you're going to attack the day or make it good, or whatever's lying before you, or even just blank minded sometimes can be super
Mhm.
helpful depending on what's going on. So I find that has made a huge difference in my life.
Absolutely. And I love that you brought up, I mean, having routine and ritual. It's really interesting that so many people often think of self-care as, the things you see in the media, the bubble baths, the going to get a massage. And there's certainly like a little piece of it, but what you just brought up is so key because oftentimes it's in almost the mundane, right? What we're doing on a regular basis, which may not seem so sexy or exciting, but in fact, that's really what's going to make that difference. And taking care of ourselves is really taking that personal responsibility. You clearly are very self-motivated because now I want to know how many hours a day are you spending conditioning or training, to be where you're at today?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the season, like when the competition is. Right now, we're having them kind of every other year. Um,
Hmm.
with the COVID whole pandemic situation, that of course
Yeah.
changed everything. And I'm also a performer. So when I'm kind of in the middle of a performance season, it's all about injury prevention, right? So
Yeah.
we're doing the same things on stage each and every night, and your body can really take that abuse from the same thing. So I'm trying to find the balance in my life of not only like my physical balance of training different parts of my body. So I'm kind of staying less on my legs, doing more kind of healing things, a lot of injury prevention, but also just kind of being in the theater all day is definitely its own kind of issue in some way, not
Yeah.
having that sunlight. So then trying to balance out the sunlight. And I think that's kind of a year round thing, is finding that balance. So when I'm in the middle of competition and taking this really intense training, then balancing that out with kind of the relaxing or the mundane, so to speak,
Right.
these things that you can kind of just decompress with. So
Yeah.
it can really vary. It's depending on the season. I will say when I'm getting ready for competition, I'm in the gym probably 5, 6 hours a day.
Okay.
Right now, I don't have to do that. I train about an hour and a half every day, making sure that I
Woohoo!
get that covered in. Yeah, both are fun. That's the thing is
Yeah.
I do enjoy being in a gym and training. And then now I'm focusing on a lot of stability or areas that I want to improve on. I have some skills that I want to be able to do. So I kind of analyze what's it going to take to get those skills? How do I need to grow a little differently, whether it's being more flexible in this way or having this part of my body be stronger to do that skill. That's also something that I like to do with training.
Yeah, and I know you had mentioned the other day when we were just chatting, while you were teaching me how to do my first double unders, which by the way, my calves are so sore.
Oh, you
And
crushed
you,
it.
yeah, well, I had literally the greatest coach in the world. So thank you. Uh, Now, would you say to someone that's listening right now that's really feeling inspired and saying, "Oh, I want to try jump rope for the first time." What kind of would you say, like, is it ever too late? Obviously check in with your body, make sure, that you can do some sort of impact. But what would you say to someone that's like, "All right, I want to go get a jump rope and start today?"
Yeah, well, pursue that. Don't there's no reason that we ever need to think about what's going to keep us back or what's going to hold us back or what's going to bring us down or if we're going to fail. And of course, those are thoughts that creep up in all of our minds. But my goodness, if you want to grab a jump rope today and go do it, do it. Like that's it. There shouldn't be anything preventing that. I will say that there are a couple of things that happen when people first start jumping rope that can be discouraging. And my goal is to try to educate people to prevent that as much as possible so that they have a really nice first jump rope experience. And one of those are having the right size jump rope.
Right.
So most of the time, they're just way too long. And
Hmm.
just a really technical thing here, if it's too long, it's gonna bounce too far out on the floor. It usually is gonna pop up over your feet, and you're gonna make a mistake that you just think it's because you can't jump rope. But it's really
Right.
an error with the equipment. So it has nothing to do with you. So for sure, I have tutorials online about sizing out that jump rope that's best for you. It is personal. It's not like a this size per height kind of thing. Everybody has a different technique. So just try to get off on a good foot on that. And then another thing is just that basic technique. I know we went over it so many times in this class, but so many
So
people
helpful.
try to jump with their arms way out. And this,
Hmm.
you are going to exhaust yourself even when first starting. So just from the get-go, developing great technique habits. So those two things can really change a person's entire experience with jump rope.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, now after working with you for those 2 days, and I'm so inspired to really get into it and actually add it into, my wellness routine because it was really fun and it was
Cool.
challenging. And then the cognitive function behind it, right? It was like I really had to connect my mind to my body. I really had to be present. I felt like it was a very great present time activity. You can't really passive. I mean, in that moment, as I was learning the double under, I couldn't really be passive.
Yeah.
So I really, really, and then seeing you, and so for everyone right now that's listening or watching, I want you to, as soon as possible, go on to Tori's Instagram, TikTok, her website, toriboggs.com, TORIBOGGS.com, and literally just take a moment and watch her because it is certainly, I mean, we've been kind of hooked on watching your stuff the last couple days since we met. So, and you have, millions of people that you are inspiring every single day. So, little last thing I want to ask you about is what are you the most excited about this year?
Oh wow, that's an interesting question. Um, well, I'm always excited to meet people and just share jump rope, and I
Yeah.
do get to do that a lot. I love every moment of it, so I kind of look at that as that is going to happen continuously. Um,
Yeah.
I am definitely really excited for performances to start coming back. Of course, all of them have been canceled, and that's something I really love to do is get on stage and jump rope. I feel like
Mhm.
a big kid on stage doing what I love to do, and that's my job. How fun is
Yeah.
that? So I am definitely really excited. Hopefully, everything comes through okay on those, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Well, and I can't wait, hopefully, one of these days to actually come and see one of your performances, whether it's in
Yeah.
Germany or wherever it may be, because I know that you are global and, like you said, always traveling. And one final thing that I'd love for you to get into today is you are the epitome of not just joy, but someone that followed through from a very young age with a dream, right? And so often, and I hear this all the time with adults I work with, that we condition ourselves or from societal beliefs or limiting beliefs, that we really, these dreams we have are kind of too big, or that's not really possible, right? And we put that cap on. So I don't want to say just for the younger generation, but for anyone right now, can you speak to just believing in yourself and what that can lead you to in life, like just any enlightenment you could share on that, because you
Dang.
clearly you live it.
Well, I can kind of detail my a little bit more of my life story. I
Yes.
never imagined that I could kind of do jump rope as a profession. That was definitely never really. I mean, I knew I always wanted to keep jumping rope, but I didn't have a vision of what that looked like. And there are
Mm.
so many jobs nowadays that we don't what's the title of this person? Like what do we call this job? There's so many things that exist like that, which is really amazing that that's kind of how
Mhm.
our world has turned into. But I was actually always preparing to go to medical school. So I was doing that in high school. I did all of the pre-med courses in undergrad and was preparing to enter into medical school. And after I graduated from Ohio State, I got an offer from Cirque du Soleil. And that was kind of like this defining moment, like what I had done this pathway all my life. And now I have this opportunity. And kind of leading into that, I started performing when I was in college as just a weekend job. And these shows, I was doing kind of NBA halftime games. I was doing performances on campus for alumni groups or this and that. I ended up kind of getting on the Ellen DeGeneres show, which was crazy. And so all of these things were kind of just like I would go to school and then I would look forward to this on the weekend is getting to kind of grow in a different way because I was always competing and now I had this really creative
Wow.
aspect of jump rope. And so as that was going along, I was like, oh, this is really fun. Oh, I'm enjoying this a lot, but I'm still studying to go to medical school. I'm still, I got to, volunteer at Children's Hospital. Like I was doing things I also love to do. Um, but I think that kind of moment finishing college when I had those diverting choices, I was like, well, I love to help people. So whether that's in medicine or in jump rope, I
Mhm.
get to do that. I still get to do those things. But my body, I've been taking care of it all my life, but I can only do this jump rope thing
Mhm.
for so long at a high level in my life. So I think this is the opportunity that I pursue now because I can always kind of have that chance to come back and go to medical school, right? So I kind of looked at it
Wow.
in these ways. I definitely don't regret that because I've done some incredible things. And I wouldn't want to have gone through medical school and look back and be like, this is great. But what would this pathway have been like had I made that choice? So I guess to kind of round that out, um, don't don't limit yourself to what's possible. Like I was following this path of medicine, and that's a very laid out path. Law, teaching, all of these different professions, which are great, we need them. But just because it's not a pathway that exists doesn't mean it's not something that you can't do. And it took me a while to envision what that's like, but now I feel like I have a lot of control of what I'm doing and what I want to do and the places that I want to go with this passion that I have. And it took a long time to get here, but just keep going forward with doing what I love to do. And I just feel like things are going to be able to happen because of that with putting that passion, that joy at the forefront.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, that right there, like, mic drop. Thank you very much. Obviously, for anyone that goes and looks at your stuff and sees that, they don't necessarily know your backstory. So to know that you were totally, going through with doing, I mean, medical school, that's also not an easy feat right there, that alone. And then to make this kind of a transition and really truly follow your joy and your passion. And then be able to get opportunities, like you said, go on the Ellen show, be in Cirque du Soleil. Like, wait, what? Yeah, I mean, I hope that they make a movie. Like, is there a movie on you? Because we need to get that going. Like, we definitely need it. Do you have one?
No, no, but I will say that when I was about 12, 13, we had a documentary come out about jump rope that I was in. So if you want to learn more about our sport, this was a really cool documentary about jump rope. It's called Jump
Jump.
maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and can you fill us in on I saw somewhere, I was
Yeah.
doing a little research in your company. I was like, oh, we need to talk about this.
Yeah, so I mean, the one you mentioned earlier, Tally Jump, has been kind of a project to figure out how we can have a device in jump rope that counts steps. And what that
Ooh,
kind of turned into was just a really nice fitness device
yeah.
of it. It tracks on your phone in an app. It tracks how many jumps you're doing. You can lay out the sessions and kind of look at training over time. But what I'm doing right now is I have my own jump rope company called Torque Jump Ropes. Torque
Oh,
is the force of rotation, so that's kind of where that's coming in, a little nerdy, which I love to nerd out on jump rope.
me too.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
on anything. Yeah.
anything, right? Don't I love it. Girl power.
Yeah.
But yeah, so torque jump ropes, they're the best jump ropes. In my opinion, I've used every jump rope possible. And so I just wanted to make a great rope to get people to have a great start. And they're the ropes that I use. So you can have a beginner jump rope, they're beaded ropes. It's the resistance line, and then you can start going a little lighter with current. And then onto RPM, which are the more specialized kind of wire ropes
Yeah.
that I also work with all the time. So
Wow. Okay, so that's so great. So here now, for anyone listening, hopefully you've gone and checked out her Instagram, TikTok, website. Now, can we order these jump ropes from your website directly?
not from toryboggs.com. Well, there's a link there. It will
Okay,
link you.
so there's some sort of
Yeah.
a connection, and I'll make sure to share all of that when we release the podcast. But now, is there any final thoughts that you would like to share? Whether it's talking about, I know you even mentioned too, like there's a possibility that jump rope might be sometime soon in the near world future in the Olympics, or is there anything else that you want to share at all? Floor is yours. Final
Oh,
thoughts here.
wow. It's a really sunny day here. No. um no, jump rope wise, yeah, so just so everybody knows, kind of educationally, jump rope is quite close to the Olympics. It's a very unique sport, and when it comes to a sport that's so diverse, it can be really hard to nail down what that sport looks like. And so the whole time that I've been in the jump rope competitive world, we have a myriad of events. Some are subjective and some are objective. And so if you notice, kind of in the Olympic world, it's usually one or the other, right?
Right.
So we don't quite know what it's going to look like when it gets to the Olympics, but we are currently an observational sport, which means that they're observing us to put us there.
Wow.
We have all of the anti-doping protocols, so we get drug tested for competition. We have, of course, all of the same rules when it comes to setting world records and all of this kind of stuff. So look for us in the Olympics, hopefully in the very near future. I would love to still be a part of jump rope by then, whether I get to coach or anything like that. And yeah, just keep that joy at the forefront, everybody.
Oh, there we go. Keep that joy at the forefront. Please be sure, do yourself a favor, everybody, go check out Tori. Just, I mean, if you're not right now gushing with inspiration by listening to that, like right now, I am so pumped to just find and feel the joy of everything today, no matter what it is. And I think that's also a takeaway from this conversation with Tori is it doesn't matter if it's literally observing that there's a beautiful sunlight outside or taking the time when you need it for yourself. Really riding the wave and embracing the journey wherever you're at and continuously finding joy and doing the things. I think do more of what you love, right? You're the shining example when you really pursue what you love. And then there's a trickle effect. Look at, you met my daughter who now has nonstop been talking about you. And I love it as her mom because I'm like, yeah, I want you to believe that you can do anything. We don't, I feel like if we could all collectively come together globally and recognize how incredible we are as a species of what we're capable of, you basically, you show that. So once again, Tori, thank you so much. It is an honor. I mean, my calves, like I said, I can barely walk, but I'm so happy because I was able to do 5 double unders in a row over and over again. I'm like, okay. And I got to work with the best of the best. Wow. So once again, thank you, Tori. I hope that we can see you soon and have a beautiful rest of the day. Hopefully you can get some rest today.
Yeah, we'll see. I get a jump rope later. That's all good.
Okay, awesome. Well, have a wonderful day and hopefully we'll talk to you soon. Thank you everyone for joining us on What's the Word, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you for joining me here at What's the Word. Follow us on social media with the links on the screen, and don't forget to like and share with your friend. Your support helps us grow and continue to make inspirational content. See you next time on What's the Word.